Did you know that Christopher Columbus was not the first one to discover America, and an African king did so a century before Columbus? In fact, Columbus set on his voyage toward America to see whether the things he heard from African historians and explorers were true or not. In other words, he knew Africans had discovered a new world, and he went to see it. However, the history we are taught is entirely different. This makes us wonder that if Africans were technologically superior and had explored new lands, what were they doing before 1492? How were their lives? What kingdoms existed? And the land prospered when Africa was free of any colonization? Welcome to a new episode of Black Afric Diary, a channel where we talk about Black African history, culture, arts, and civilization. It's a place where you will see the real picture of Black Africa, its stories, and the events defining it. In this episode, we will tell you about the untold, what were Africans doing in 1492. Let's get started. The tale of a Malian ruler setting out on a daring voyage across the Atlantic Ocean long before Columbus's famed journey is a fascinating and often overlooked chapter in history. This narrative, shared by Mansa Musa, one of the most renowned rulers of the Mali Empire, offers insights into the ambitions and capabilities of African empires long before European exploration became the dominant narrative. During his pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324, Mansa Musa spent several months in Cairo, where he told the story to an Egyptian official named Abu al-Hasan Ali ibn Amir Hajib. Musa explained that he became ruler of the Mali Empire after his predecessor, Mansa Muhammad ibn Ku, embarked on an ambitious expedition to explore the farthest reaches of the Atlantic Ocean. Driven by a desire to discover what lay beyond the horizon, the previous ruler assembled a massive fleet of 200 ships filled with men, accompanied by an equal number of ships stocked with gold, water, and provisions for an extended journey. The fleet set sail with strict orders not to return until they had reached the end of the ocean or exhausted their supplies. After a long time, only one ship returned. The captain reported encountering a powerful river-like current in the open sea, which had swallowed the other ships, leaving their fate a mystery. Fearful for his life, the captain turned back. However, the ruler was unconvinced by the captain's account and decided to lead a second, even larger expedition himself. This time, he prepared a fleet of 2,000 ships, with 1,000 carrying men and the other 1,000 dedicated to provisions. This time, he did not want any excuse that could hinder him from seeing what lies beyond the Atlantic Ocean. When the ruler went on this expedition, Mansa Musa was left to rule in his stead. This account, recorded by the Arab historian al-Umari, is the only known reference to the Malian expedition. At that time, the Mali Empire was at its height and was one of the wealthiest and most powerful states in the world, with considerable influence over trans-Saharan trade routes. The idea that a West African ruler could have organized and funded such a large-scale maritime expedition is not far-fetched, considering the empire's immense wealth and resources. This story of the Malian voyage challenges the Eurocentric narrative that often dominates the history of exploration and discovery. It highlights the achievements and ambitions of African civilizations, showcasing a rich and complex history that predates European colonization. Beyond exploration, the Mali Empire was also famous for its wealth and prosperity, in which Mali's strategic location played a major role. Positioned between West Africa's gold mines and the salt mines of the Sahara, the empire became a central hub in the trans-Saharan trade routes. This prime location allowed Mali to control the flow of goods, such as gold, salt, ivory, cola nuts, and slaves across vast distances. The empire's grip on these lucrative trade routes enabled it to levy taxes on merchants, further boosting its wealth and strengthening its economic foundation. Mali's wealth was legendary, primarily due to its vast gold reserves. At its peak, the empire controlled a significant portion of the world's gold supply. The wealth generated from trade and taxes not only funded a strong military, but also fueled the construction of grand cities and the growth of a rich culture. This opulence was perhaps best exemplified by Mansa Musa, who ruled in the 14th century. His 1324 pilgrimage to Mecca showcased Mali's wealth on the global stage, as his lavish distribution of gold caused economic disruptions in several regions along his route. Military strength was another pillar of Mali's power. The empire maintained a well-organized and formidable military that was crucial in expanding its territory and maintaining control over its vast lands. The military, comprising both a standing army and conscripted forces from various provinces, allowed Mali to project power across a wide area and ensure stability. This military prowess was instrumental during the reign of Sundiata Keita, who is credited with founding the Mali Empire around 1235. His campaigns were key in absorbing the declining Ghana Empire and extending Mali's influence across much of West Africa. What's more, Mali's governance was marked by a sophisticated administrative system that effectively managed its diverse territories. The empire was divided into provinces, each governed by a farba, appointed by the king. This governance structure ensured that the Mansa's central authority was respected throughout the empire. The Mansa, holding supreme power, was supported by a council of advisors and key officials who played vital roles in administration. The empire's legal code, the Kurukan Fuga, outlined the rights and responsibilities of its subjects, further reinforcing a well-ordered society. Culturally, Mali was a beacon of Islamic learning and scholarship in the 13th century. The empire attracted scholars, poets, and theologians from across the Islamic world, particularly to the city of Timbuktu. Timbuktu became a renowned center of learning, home to the famous Sankore University and numerous libraries containing thousands of manuscripts. The spread of Islam, especially among the elite, led to the establishment of educational institutions and the promotion of literacy, significantly contributing to Mali's prestige and influence in the broader Islamic world. On the diplomatic front, Mali maintained strong relations with other powerful states, including the Sultanate of Egypt and the Kingdom of Morocco. These relationships were often bolstered through trade, religious connections, and diplomatic exchanges, with the pilgrimage to Mecca playing a key role in Mali's diplomatic outreach. However, the Kingdom of Mali was not the only one that defined Africa. During the 15th century, the Songhai Empire emerged as one of the largest and most influential empires in West Africa. One of the main reasons for Songhai's success was its strategic control over important trans-Saharan trade routes. These routes connected West Africa with North Africa and the Mediterranean, turning cities like Gao and Timbuktu into bustling centers of commerce. With its prime location along the Niger River, the empire facilitated the trade of goods such as gold, salt, kola nuts, and slaves, which generated immense wealth. This wealth enabled the Songhai rulers to build and maintain a stable and prosperous empire. Another crucial element in Songhai's rise was its military strength. Under the leadership of Sunni Ali, who reigned from 1464 to 1492, the empire expanded rapidly, conquering key cities like Timbuktu and Djenné. Sunni Ali was a skilled military leader who used a powerful cavalry and navy to control the Niger River and surrounding regions. His successor, Askia Muhammad I, who ruled from 1493 to 1528, continued this expansion, ultimately making Songhai the largest empire in West Africa. The well-organized military played a vital role in maintaining stability, defending borders, and securing trade routes. Centralized administration and effective governance were also essential to Songhai's might. Askia Muhammad I restructured the empire's governance by appointing governors, known as Fari, to oversee provinces and manage the collection of taxes and tributes. He established a professional bureaucracy that handled everything from justice to finance, ensuring the smooth operation of the empire. The legal system, heavily influenced by Islamic law, reflected the widespread adoption of Islam among the elite. This administrative structure allowed Songhai to maintain control over its vast and diverse territories. Culturally, the Songhai Empire was a beacon of Islamic learning and scholarship, particularly in cities like Timbuktu and Djenné. Timbuktu was home to prestigious universities such as Sankore and numerous libraries housing thousands of manuscripts on subjects ranging from theology to science. Scholars from across the Islamic world were drawn to Songhai, enriching the empire's intellectual and cultural life. This emphasis on education and culture bolstered Songhai's prestige and influence within the broader Islamic world. Economically, the Songhai Empire was diverse and robust, with agriculture, trade, and taxation forming the backbone of its economy. The fertile lands along the Niger River supported the cultivation of crops like rice, millet, and sorghum, providing both food security and surplus for trade. The empire also controlled valuable resources, including gold mines and salt deposits, which were central to its wealth. Trade caravans crisscrossed the empire, connecting it to North Africa and beyond, ensuring a steady flow of wealth that funded military campaigns, monumental architecture, and the patronage of Islamic scholarship. Then comes the Benin Empire. The Benin Empire, located in what is now modern-day Nigeria, was another powerful and prosperous state in West Africa. It reached its peak between the 15th and 17th centuries and was renowned for its advanced political system, military strength, and artistic achievements. The Benin Empire was governed by a sophisticated political system centered around the Oba, which was the king, who held both political and spiritual authority. The Oba was considered divine, and his power was absolute. Beneath the Oba was a well-organized hierarchy of chiefs and officials who administered the various regions of the empire. The empire was divided into districts, each governed by a chief who reported directly to the Oba. This centralized system of governance enabled the empire to maintain control over its territories and ensure efficient administration. Military power was a key element of the Benin Empire's strength. The Oba maintained a well-trained and equipped standing army, which played a crucial role in both expanding and defending the empire. The military was used to subdue neighboring states, extend the empire's borders, and protect it from external threats. It also enforced the Oba's authority internally, maintaining order and control. The military's strength allowed the Benin Empire to dominate trade routes and resources in the region. Economically, the Benin Empire was prosperous, with trade and agriculture serving as the foundation of its wealth. Strategically located near the Niger River and the Atlantic Ocean, the empire engaged in trade with inland African states and European merchants. Benin became a major exporter of goods such as palm oil, ivory, and pepper. Control over these trade routes and the production and export of valuable goods brought considerable wealth to the state. Agriculture also played a significant role, with the fertile lands around the Benin River supporting the cultivation of yams, maize, and other crops. However, the Benin Empire is perhaps best known for its phenomenal artistic achievements, particularly in bronze and ivory sculpture. The Benin bronzes, which include plaques, statues, and other decorative items, are among the most celebrated African artworks. These pieces, created by skilled artisans, often depicted the Oba, court officials, warriors, and scenes from court life. The Benin Empire also engaged in extensive diplomatic and trade relations with European powers, particularly the Portuguese and the Dutch. These relationships were mutually beneficial, with Europeans seeking goods such as ivory, pepper, and precious metals like gold, silver, and copper. Diplomatic relations extended Benin's influence and allowed it to play a significant role in regional and international trade networks. In East Africa, Swahili city-states existed, which were a network of trading hubs that thrived between the 10th and 16th centuries. Cities like Kilwa, Mombasa, Zanzibar, Malindi, and Sofala played a crucial role in connecting Africa with the Middle East, India, Southeast Asia, and even China through the Indian Ocean trade routes. Their prosperity was deeply rooted in trade, cultural exchange, and their strategic position along one of the world's most important maritime pathways. These city-states started as small coastal settlements around the 10th century and gradually grew into bustling urban centers. The people who lived in these cities were a blend of Bantu-speaking Africans and traders from the Arabian Peninsula and Persia. This mixing of cultures led to the development of the Swahili language, a Bantu language enriched with Arabic, Persian, and later Portuguese influences. The name Swahili is derived from the Arabic word sawahil, meaning coasts, reflecting the maritime nature of these communities. The economic success of the Swahili city-states was largely driven by their involvement in the Indian Ocean trade network. Strategically located along the East African coast, these city-states served as gateways for goods moving between Africa's interior and the wider world. They exported valuable commodities such as gold, ivory, tortoiseshell, and timber, while importing textiles, beads, ceramics, and spices from the Middle East, India, and China. Kilwa, one of the most prominent Swahili city-states, became especially wealthy by controlling the gold trade from the interior, particularly from the Kingdom of Great Zimbabwe. This control made Kilwa one of the most powerful cities on the East African coast. The wealth generated from trade allowed these cities to grow into prosperous urban centers with impressive stone-built architecture, including mosques, palaces, and houses. The prosperity of the Swahili city-states wasn't just economic, it was also cultural. The Swahili people were known for their cosmopolitan lifestyle, shaped by their interactions with traders from across the Indian Ocean. Islam, introduced by Arab traders around the 8th century, played a central role in Swahili society. Over time, it became deeply integrated into Swahili culture, influencing everything from architecture to education and legal systems. These cities were lively hubs of social life, with bustling markets where traders from around the world would gather. The Swahili were also skilled artisans, creating finely crafted goods like jewelry, textiles, and pottery. The cities were also centers of learning, with scholars studying religious texts, astronomy, medicine, and other sciences. The blending of Islamic culture with local traditions created a unique Swahili identity that was distinctly African, yet connected to the broader Islamic world. Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black Africa. Let's continue now. Each Swahili city-state was politically independent and ruled by its own king or sultan. These rulers held significant wealth and power, largely derived from their control over trade. Despite their political independence, the city-states shared a common culture and language, which facilitated trade and diplomatic relations among them. The rulers maintained close relationships with foreign traders, particularly those from the Arabian Peninsula, Persia, and later Portugal. These connections were often strengthened through intermarriage and alliances, further blending cultures and strengthening economic ties. The political systems of the city-states were well organized, with legal frameworks based on Islamic law and governance structures influenced by Islamic political models. In Central Africa, the Kingdom of Congo was a powerful state. Spanning parts of what is now northern Angola, western Congo, and the Western Democratic Republic of Congo, the kingdom was renowned for its centralized government, sophisticated social structures, thriving trade networks, and rich cultural life, all of which contributed to the prosperity of its people. The Kingdom of Congo was established in the late 14th century by Lukeni Luanimi, who united several smaller, independent chiefdoms under his leadership. The capital, Mbanza, Congo, became the political and cultural heart of the region. Over time, the kingdom expanded its territory through military conquest, diplomacy, and strategic alliances, eventually including a vast area divided into 6 provinces: Mpemba, Nsundi, Mbada, Mpangu, Mbamba, and Soyo. Congo's political structure was highly centralized, with the king, known as the Manikongo, at the top. The Manikongo held significant authority over the provinces, which were governed by appointed provincial rulers, often members of the royal family or loyal nobles. These provincial rulers were responsible for local administration, tax collection, and maintaining order. The Manikongo was supported by a council of nobles who advised on important decisions, ensuring that the government was both strong and efficient. The kingdom also had a sophisticated legal system that combined customary laws with formal rules enforced by royal officials. The Congo was seen not only as a political leader, but also as a religious figure, believed to possess spiritual powers that connected the kingdom with its ancestors and the spiritual world. The Kingdom of Congo's economy was diverse and robust, greatly contributing to the prosperity of its people. Agriculture was the backbone of the economy, with fertile lands producing abundant crops such as millet, sorghum, beans, yams, and palm oil. Animal husbandry also played an important role, with cattle, goats, and pigs being essential to the economy. Trade was another key factor in Congo's prosperity. The kingdom's strategic location near the Atlantic coast made it a significant player in regional and international trade networks. The Congo people traded ivory, copper, and raffia cloth with neighboring states and later with European merchants. The arrival of the Portuguese in the late 15th century opened up new trading opportunities, including the exchange of goods such as textiles and metalware. Religion played a central role in Congo society. The Congo people practiced a form of animism, believing in the spiritual power of ancestors and natural forces. The Congo was seen as the highest religious authority, mediating between the spiritual and physical worlds. However, the Frere converted to Christianity in 1491, and many of his successors followed suit. Christianity was adopted alongside traditional beliefs, creating a syncretic religious culture in Congo. However, this also opened doors for Europeans to enter the kingdom and get a space to live, grow, and ultimately take control. Congo's art and architecture were also significant aspects of its cultural life. The kingdom was known for its intricate metalwork, particularly in copper and iron, as well as its production of textiles from raffia. The capital, Mbanza, Congo, featured impressive architecture, including the royal palace and Christian churches built after the conversion to Christianity. As for the social structure, Congo's society was hierarchical, with the Congo and the nobility at the top, followed by a class of free commoners who worked as farmers, artisans, and traders. The Kingdom of Congo had a complex relationship with European powers, particularly the Portuguese. The initial contact with the Portuguese was mutually beneficial, with both sides engaging in trade and cultural exchange. The Portuguese provided military support and introduced new technologies, while the Congo offered valuable goods and labor. Congo's conversion to Christianity led to the establishment of diplomatic relations, with Congo sending envoys to Europe and receiving missionaries in return. In North Africa, a broader Islamic world was thriving. This period was marked by significant political, economic, and cultural developments, especially in areas like Egypt and the Maghreb, which include modern-day Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, and Libya. These regions became crucial centers of trade, learning, and culture, contributing greatly to the prosperity of North Africa and its influence across the Mediterranean, Europe, and Asia. During this era, Egypt was under the control of the Mamluk Sultanate, which ruled from 1250 to 1517. The Mamluks, originally slave soldiers of Turkic and Circassian origin, rose to power by overthrowing the Ayyubid dynasty and establishing a military oligarchy that would last nearly 3 centuries. The Mamluk Sultanate became one of the most powerful and influential states in the Islamic world, playing a vital role in defending the region against the Mongol invasions and the Crusaders. Their victory at the Battle of Ain Jalut in 1260, which stopped the westward expansion of the Mongol Empire, solidified the Mamluks' position as protectors of the Islamic world. A significant factor behind the Mamluk Sultanate's strength was its control of important trade routes. Egypt's strategic location made it a key link between Africa, Europe, and Asia. The Mamluks dominated the Red Sea and the Eastern Mediterranean, controlling the spice trade from the Indian Ocean and the trade of goods like gold and ivory from sub-Saharan Africa. Cairo, the capital of the Mamluk Sultanate, became one of the most important cities in the medieval world, serving as a major hub of commerce where goods from across Africa, Europe, and Asia were traded. The wealth generated from these bustling markets made Cairo one of the wealthiest and most cosmopolitan cities of its time. Cairo was not only an economic powerhouse, but also a center of learning and culture. The Mamluk sultans were great patrons of the arts, commissioning the construction of beautiful mosques, madrasas, and public buildings. The architectural style of this period is characterized by elaborate stone carvings, minarets, and grand domes, with the Sultan Hassan Mosque and the Al-Nasir Muhammad Mosque in Cairo being prime examples. The city attracted scholars, theologians, scientists, and poets from across the Islamic world, including regions like Andalusia, Persia, and the Maghreb. Al-Azhar University in Cairo, one of the oldest universities in the world, became a major center of Islamic learning, where students from all over the Muslim world came to study theology, law, and the sciences. The Mamluk period also witnessed significant advancements in medicine, astronomy, and mathematics, with scholars like Ibn al-Nafis, who discovered the pulmonary circulation of the blood, making groundbreaking contributions. To the west of Egypt, the Maghreb region, covering modern-day Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, and Libya, was also a vital part of the Islamic world during the 13th and 14th centuries. The Maghreb was known for its rich cultural diversity, where Berber, Arab, and Islamic traditions blended to create a unique cultural landscape. During this period, the region was ruled by several powerful dynasties. In Morocco, the decline of the Almohad Caliphate gave rise to the Marinid dynasty, which ruled from the mid-13th century until the late 15th century. The Marinids established their capital in Fes, a city renowned for its religious and intellectual life. Fes became one of the most important cities in the Islamic world, home to Al-Qarawiyyin University, one of the oldest universities globally, and a major center of Islamic scholarship. The Maghreb was also a critical region for trade. The trans-Saharan trade routes connected the Maghreb with West Africa, facilitating the exchange of goods like gold, salt, and other valuable resources. The wealth generated from this trade supported the development of urban centers like Marrakesh and Tlemcen, which became cities with thriving markets, magnificent architecture, and rich cultural life. Sufism, the mystical branch of Islam, played a significant role in the cultural and religious life of North Africa during this period. Sufi orders spread across the region, influencing both the spiritual practices and social structures of North African societies. Sufi saints were revered, and their tombs became important pilgrimage sites. Sufism also played a key role in spreading Islam in rural areas and among Berber tribes, where Sufi leaders often held considerable influence. In southern Africa, Great Zimbabwe and other kingdoms existed. The Kingdom of Zimbabwe, particularly centered around the city of Great Zimbabwe, was a dominant force from the 11th to the 15th century. Renowned for its impressive stone architecture and its crucial role in regional trade networks, Great Zimbabwe stands as one of Africa's most significant historical sites, symbolizing the achievements of early civilizations in this part of the continent. Great Zimbabwe, located in what is now southeastern Zimbabwe, served as the capital of the Kingdom of Zimbabwe. The city began to flourish around the 11th century, reaching its zenith between the 13th and 15th centuries. During this period, Great Zimbabwe became the center of a powerful kingdom that controlled extensive territories across the Zimbabwean plateau and into parts of modern-day Mozambique and South Africa. The city is best known for its massive stone structures, including the Great Enclosure and the Hill Complex. These constructions are phenomenal for their sophisticated dry stone walling techniques, where large granite blocks were meticulously fitted together without the use of mortar. The walls of the Great Enclosure, standing up to 36 feet high and spanning 820 feet in circumference, are particularly brilliant and rank among the largest ancient structures in sub-Saharan Africa. Great Zimbabwe's economic strength was largely rooted in its control of trade routes and gold production. The region surrounding Great Zimbabwe was rich in minerals, particularly gold, which was highly coveted by traders. The Kingdom of Zimbabwe became a key player in regional trade networks, linking the interior of southern Africa with the Swahili coast, and through it, to the wider Indian Ocean trade network. Gold from the mines controlled by Great Zimbabwe was traded for goods from distant lands, including Persia, India, and China. The Swahili city-states along the East African coast, such as Kilwa and Sofala, were key trading partners. From these coastal cities, Zimbabwean gold was exported to far-off markets in Asia and the Middle East, making it an integral part of the global economy during this period. In addition to gold, Great Zimbabwe was involved in the trade of ivory, copper, and other valuable commodities. The wealth generated from this trade supported a complex society with a powerful ruling elite and a large population of artisans, farmers, and traders. One of the most prominent successor states to the Kingdom of Zimbabwe was the Mutapa Empire, also known as the Mwene Mutapa or Monomotapa Empire. Founded in the early 15th century, the Mutapa Empire inherited much of the territory and influence of Great Zimbabwe. It continued to control the trade in gold and other goods that had made Great Zimbabwe prosperous. The Mutapa Empire extended its influence over a vast area, including much of modern-day Zimbabwe and Mozambique. Like its predecessor, the Mutapa Empire became a significant player in regional trade networks. It maintained strong trade relations with the Swahili coast, and through it, with Portuguese traders who began to arrive in the region in the late 15th century. The rulers of the Mutapa Empire were powerful and wealthy, leveraging their control over gold production and trade to build and maintain their authority. The empire also adopted some of the architectural and cultural practices of Great Zimbabwe, though on a smaller scale. The Mutapa capital, sometimes referred to as the Zimbabwe of the North, featured stone buildings and served as a center of political and economic activity. The arrival of the Portuguese in the late 15th century marked a new phase in the history of the Mutapa Empire. The Portuguese, eager to control the lucrative gold trade, established trading posts along the coast and sought to exert influence over the Mutapa rulers, at times using military force to secure their interests. The relationship between the Mutapa Empire and the Portuguese was complex and often contentious. While the Portuguese were initially welcomed as trading partners, their aggressive pursuit of control over the region's resources led to conflicts. Although the Portuguese managed to establish a foothold in the region, they never fully controlled the Mutapa Empire. You see, in 1492, Africans were thriving in so many areas of life. They lived in prosperous communities, enriched by deep cultural traditions, advanced farming techniques, and strong trade networks. They were skilled artisans, knowledgeable farmers, and traders, all deeply connected to their land and their people. While Europe was still trying to recover from the turmoil of the Middle Ages and dealing with internal conflicts and economic struggles, African societies were flourishing. They were living fulfilling lives, content with their way of life, and focused on their own growth and development. Africans had the resources, knowledge, and organizational skills to explore and conquer other lands, but they chose a different path. Their priority was nurturing and sustaining their own communities rather than seeking to expand through conquest. They valued their cultural heritage and way of life, seeing no need to impose it on others. Instead, they prioritized trade, diplomacy, and cultural exchange, building connections with neighboring regions and beyond without any desire to dominate or control. If they had wanted to, Africans certainly had the capability to colonize other territories, but their goals were different. They were satisfied with the richness of their own civilizations and the harmony within their communities. Rather than seeking power over others, they focused on what truly mattered, preserving their way of life, fostering social cohesion, and enjoying the prosperity they had carefully cultivated over generations. What do you think? What were Africans doing in 1492, the year when European exploring and colonizing efforts were beginning? Isn't it true that Africans were prospering, living their best lives, and were ahead of Europeans? In the comment section right below, share your thoughts on what if the King of Mali had colonized America the way Europeans did. How would history be different today? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We bring videos on Black Africa, its history, rich arts and culture, and things the world should know about. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.